Mangwana ni malelepo vukenjani klekwas vanave Africa. Welcome to Africa Good Morning, your portal into Africa's potent stories. On AGM today, Mauritius is ranked Africa's most peaceful country in 2025 Global Peace Index, followed closely by Botswana, Namibia, and the Gambia. UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres warns of a rising terrorism threat in the Sahel, calling for urgent regional cooperation. Eswatini receives $5.1 million from the US to accept deportees despite legal challenges. Nestlé faces backlash over sugary baby cereal sold in Africa. Nicki Minaj backs disputed claims of Christian persecution in Nigeria. Namibia's central bank governor announces early exit, and Heineken transfers its Bukavu brewery amid Congo conflict. Watch us on DSTV 285, GoTV 25, ntvafrica.my.na, and NTV Africa on YouTube. My name is Ashwin Berry. Top stories shortly. The 2025 Global Peace Index revealed a worldwide decline in peacefulness by 0.36%, marking the 13th drop in 17 years. Africa's peace record shows mixed results, with half of its countries improving while the rest face setbacks. Mauritius tops the list as Africa's most peaceful country, closely followed by Botswana, Namibia, and the Gambia, all recognized for stable governance and minimal militarization. Despite ongoing challenges such as terrorism, political unrest, and cross-border conflicts destabilizing the region, these nations have maintained relative safety. The GPI assesses peace based on a societal safety, conflict levels, and militarization across 163 countries. Globally, Iceland remains the most peaceful, whereas Russia ranks lowest, with countries like Ukraine, Sudan, and the Democratic Republic of Congo also struggling. Sub-Saharan Africa experienced a slight decline of 0.1%, driven by regional insecurity. Besides Mauritius and Botswana, West African countries including Sierra Leone, Ghana, Senegal, and Liberia show progress, while Madagascar and Zambia complete the list of the top 10, illustrating pockets of stability amid wider challenges. Moving on. United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres addressed the UN Security Council, emphasizing that terrorism in the Sahel is not merely a regional issue, but a growing global threat. He urged cooperation among nations in the region to coordinate efforts against terrorism, warning of a potential domino effect impacting multiple countries. Guterres highlighted the security crisis in Mali, where the Jamaat Nusrat al-Islam wal Muslimin has disrupted fuel supplies. The recent exit of Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger from ECOWAS complicates regional cooperation, with ECOWAS Commission President Omar Aliou Touré citing mistrust among stakeholders as a major barrier. Touré called on the Security Council for support in building trust, stressing that no amount of financial aid or equipment will suffice without collaboration. The Sahel accounts for over half of global terrorism deaths, making it the global epicenter of terrorism, according to the Global Terrorism Index, underscoring the urgency of collective action to counter the escalating threat. Eswatini's finance minister confirmed the country received $5.1 million from the U.S. under a deal to accept third country nationals deported as part of the Trump administration's immigration crackdown. Alongside Eswatini, countries like South Sudan, Ghana, and Rwanda agreed to receive third country deportees. The agreement, signed in May in Mbambane, stipulated that Eswatini would accept up to 160 deportees in exchange for funding aimed at enhancing border and migration management. Details of the agreement remain undisclosed, and Eswatini faces a lawsuit alleging the deal is unconstitutional. The U.S. State Department emphasized its commitment to implementing immigration policies, but declined further comment. So far, the U.S. has deported at least 15 immigrants to Eswatini from countries including Vietnam, Cuba, Laos, Yemen, and the Philippines. These deportees are mostly imprisoned, except for one who was repatriated. The secretive nature of the arrangement has sparked protests and legal challenges within Eswatini. Moving on. Nestlé is under fire for adding sugar to its Cerelac baby cereal sold in Africa, while equivalent products in Europe remain sugar-free, raising concerns among civil society and public health experts. A Swiss NGO investigation revealed that most Cerelac products in African markets contain added sugar, contradicting WHO guidelines that warn against early sugar exposure due to its links to childhood obesity. 19 Africa-based civil society groups accused Nestlé of applying double standards and called for the removal of sugary baby foods from the continent. Nestlé denies these claims, stating their nutritional policy is consistent globally and that sugar-free options are available in most markets. The company highlighted efforts to expand sugar-free variants to all markets by the end of 2025. Childhood obesity rates in Africa are rising, with about 5.1% of children under 5 overweight. The report highlighted that single servings of Cerelac in Africa can contain nearly 6 grams of added sugar, with the highest recorded in Kenya. Criticism centers on prioritizing profit over child health, emphasizing equal rights to nutritious food for all children. Rap artist Nicki Minaj publicly promoted disproved claims that Christians are being persecuted in Nigeria, asserting that churches have been burned and families torn apart because of their prayers. Speaking at a U.S. Embassy event, Minaj said advocating for Christians' protection is about standing against injustice and uniting humanity. However, analysts report that jihadist and armed groups commit violence affecting all communities, regardless of religion, and many of Minaj's statements have been shown to be inaccurate. Recent incidents include a deadly church attack and the abduction of 25 mostly Muslim schoolgirls in Kebbi State, with some escaping. President Donald Trump warned he would send troops, guns ablazing, if killings continued. The Nigerian government rejected these allegations as a gross misrepresentation, stating terrorists attack Muslims, Christians, and non-believers alike. Nigeria's population is roughly evenly split between Muslims and Christians, with violence concentrated in the Muslim-majority north. Minaj described Nigeria as a nation with deep faith traditions and acknowledged her fans, while the U.S. ambassador thanked her for raising what they consider awareness, despite the contested accuracy of her claims. Those have been our top stories on Africa Good Morning. Shortly, we'll be talking to Arrie Hougaard as we dive into what's going on in South Africa, including the G20 summit. But prior to that, let's have a look at the weather.
Save the date for November 26, 2025, when all registered voters head to the polls for the regional councils and local authorities elections. Your voice matters, and your vote is your voice. Head to your nearest polling station and elect your leaders. Remember, every vote counts. Get involved, put your voice in the box. Vote on November 26, 2025.
It's time for us to talk to Arrie Hougaard as he delivers the South Africa report. Good morning, Arrie.
Yes, a very good morning, Ashwin, and nice to talk to you. Good morning, everyone.
All All right, we've got a lot to go through, including the G20 summit beginning this coming weekend in Johannesburg, and President Ramaphosa saying South Africa is fully prepared to host the important event despite the absence of the United States. Also, in your current affairs, Arrie, consumer debt levels in South Africa remain alarmingly high, with low-income groups especially struggling to meet their repayment obligations.
Yes, it is two interesting stories. The economy in South Africa a little bit under pressure, but let's start with the G20. It's a big moment for Africa. First time the G20, all the leaders together in the African continent. South Africa chairing it for this year. So there you can see the three themes in yellow and red and blue. It is solidarity and sustainability. And also equality. That's the themes for this, and that is President Ramaphosa. He said he's positive. Everything is in place. There's confirmed 42 countries that's going to be present, plus 16 guest countries, mostly made up of the African Union and probably also the European Union countries that will be guests as well. So yes, we mentioned the absence of the United States and the influence of that. What's concerning, I think, for President Ramaphosa, difficult to manage the whole process from a distance is a threat from President Trump that said, but he's just warning, don't take any decisions in my absence, and I'm not going to go with that. So that's a decision made by President Trump there. There is talking to a German counselor there, and he's not here. He's not present at the G20. So if you're not present, I think you must understand that there's a good chance that people will make a decision. There's G20 countries. There's now G19. Probably the other 19 will say, but we can make a decision on things. So if you're not present, it's a challenge. So that's a concern at the moment, but it's not going to overwhelm what's happening at the G20. Solidarity, equality's got to do with fair trade. I think that's a subject that is going to be on the table. Subject on the table because the USA has been influencing fair trade in the world quite a bit. So it will be interesting to see what comes from the G20 in terms of fair trade worldwide. And then also sustainability, climate change is also on the agenda apparently. So lots of countries present. Just briefly to mention some of that, the United Kingdom, of course, and also France, Germany, and Italy. From the European countries, China, India, Saudi Arabia, then also Japan, Brazil, Australia, Mexico, the Russian Federation as well. But there's no President Vladimir Putin. He's not allowed to travel to South Africa. He's a criminal court arrest, or there's a criminal court arrest warrant on him. So if he arrives in South Africa, he might be arrested. So it's interesting times. President Trump not here, President Putin not here. But all systems go, and everybody's positive that it will be a good summit. Starts on Saturday, and it will also continue on Sunday. And that's in Johannesburg at the Nasrec Center. As you mentioned, it is the consumers that's battling also with money in hand and paying back debt. South Africa's got a massive debt burden on them for personal debt in South Africa. Just experts warning that there's been lots of pressure for households and consumers to pay back the debt. Apparently, the figures show that 94% of South Africans do have some kind of debt. But the problem is since 2016, cost of living in South Africa went up quite a bit. The cost of electricity since 2016 went up, tariffs went up 165%, so it's massive. And even the petrol price surged by 80% since 2016. So people pay more. And two examples I can give, if you're earning 35,000 South African Rand or more, your income to debt percentage is 78%, is quite high. But the biggest challenge is people earning 5,000 South African Rand and less. They say that the debt to income ratio is 92%. So that's massive, and their ability to pay that back. Just to close, South Africa's total debt, all the consumers in South Africa, total debt of 2.5 trillion South African Rand. So South Africa do have lots of debt that they need to pay back. So that is current news at the moment in South Africa.
All right, Arrie, we've got quite the sporting weekend ahead of us. The Springboks will be facing a tough assignment as they take on Ireland in Dublin on Saturday. Meanwhile, Themba Bavuma, Captain Fantastic, remains confident that the Proteas men's cricket team can beat India in the second test, also starting on Saturday.
Yes, it's exciting sport, exciting sporting weekend. I just love Captain Fantastic. I love that Demba Bavuma. I was at beating India in India on a spinner's wicket. That was brilliant. And hopefully in the second test that will start on Saturday, they can do the same. That's rugby first. That's two of the fly-offs. Not sure which one will play. Probably Sasha Spinebike and Kumazula will be starting. Playing against Ireland, the reality is the last 5 games South Africa played against Ireland, South Africa only won once. And Rossi Erasmus there, the coach, has never won in Dublin as a coach. So lots to play for. And South Africa not been playing good rugby in Ireland so far. They've been playing good rugby in Europe so far. They won the first 3 games against Japan and also against France and Italy. They also still need to play Wales next week. But a big assignment for them. There's been red cards that they got in the previous 2 games. Some of that has been overturned, but it's going to be physical, it's going to be hard and exciting. That is South Africa playing Ireland. Then the cricket, that starts on Saturday. It's a second 5-day test, and winning the toss is going to be important again. That is Bumrah putting his arms around Bavuma. That's after losing. That's after India lost. But a great performance by Temba Bavuma. He had a brilliant innings, and hopefully that man, it is Kagiso Rabada. Hopefully he will be fit to play. But winning the toss is going to be important. To win the toss, bat first. There's going to be a spinner's wicket, definitely, and try to get India to bat last on that wicket again. So that's exciting cricket and rugby this coming weekend.
All right, Arrie, much to look forward to. I must say I was watching last week's rugby game with the Springboks, and I'm very relieved that Mustard's red card was rescinded and we'll be able to see him on the field again this Saturday. And hopefully if such an incident comes up again, the referee goes to the bunker before making a decision. And how about Bavuma? What a captain. It's been milestone after milestone. The Proteas will certainly be keeping us entertained for a while. Speaking of entertainment, 4 Western Cape wine estates have been nominated among the top 50 vineyards in the world. That's entertainment/tourism. Tell us about it.
Yes, Ashwin, proud. That's a big component of tourism in South Africa. And you've been at one of two of them in Stellenbosch as well. And you've seen what they look like and what they offer. So it's top-class vineyards that the Western Cape do offer. And that is La Motte. That's one of the top 4. So what's happened was there's a list that came out, the world's best vineyards, a respected publication that issued that, in South Africa. Cape Town's got 4 of them. So it's Tukara in Stellenbosch, also the Clare Groff in Stellenbosch, and also La Motte. There you can see La Motte's wine. They're one of the 4. And then Hamilton Russell, they're closer to Hermanus. So well done to them. I'll focus a little bit on La Motte. La Motte, that you just saw the bottles there, was started making wine 1695 already, long time ago. And that is Tukara. That is brilliant views. And Tukara is one of the top 4 as well. And at La Motte, you can have wine tasting. You can obviously go to the restaurant. There's a farm stall as well. They've got brilliant red wine, brilliant white wine, and also they've got Cap Classique, and that is the old champagne. We can't use the word champagne, and it's brilliant products. So if you visit Franschhoek, and that is where La Motte is. Franschhoek is just an hour, maybe an hour's drive from the Cape Town city centre. It's beautiful, looks like France, or maybe Franschhoek. The people in France will say that looks a little bit like France, but it's a brilliant area of the Western Cape. So South Africa, Western Cape, proud of 4 vineyards, best in the world. I'm sure there's more than that. They just couldn't get all of them on the list. If you visit Cape Town, you'll see there's probably 10 or 15 that fits that list in the top 50. So that is entertainment news from South Africa.
Indeed, Arrie, thank you so much for joining us and delivering such a comprehensive South Africa report.
Great to talk, and go Temba Bavuma and the team. I'll be watching the first ball and probably all the cricket as much as possible. Hopefully the Proteas can do it again. Have a blessed day, everyone. Bye-bye.
All right, cheers. Namibia's central bank governor has announced an early exit. We'll be talking about that in economic news after the break.
Life is unpredictable, and one needs to be protected against any eventuality. Get Santam legal access from as little as 50 Namibian dollars a month for when you find yourself in need of legal representation due to civil cases, criminal prosecution, and family matters such as divorce, child maintenance, and custody. It also covers labor disputes, disciplinary hearings, and unfair dismissal or retrenchment. With Santam Legal Access, you'll receive free legal advice on almost every legal aspect, whether the specific matter is covered by your policy or not. For true peace of mind and legal protection when you need it most, call us on 061 292 8000. Santam. This is freedom.
Let's get into economic news. Namibia's central bank announced that Governor Johannes Gavaghab will leave his position at the end of 2025, a year ahead of his contract scheduled end in 2026. Initially appointed in June 2020 for 18 months following his predecessor's move to finance minister, Gavaghab was later confirmed for a 5-year term. The central bank did not disclose reasons for his early departure or future plans, nor did it name a successor. During his tenure, Gavaghab managed Namibia's monetary policy through the COVID-19 pandemic and global economic uncertainty. Notably, he played a key role in redeeming a $750 million euro bond in October 2025 and expanding the Welvisha Fund, the country's sovereign wealth fund. Inflation was successfully contained, averaging 3.6% in the first 8 months of 2025 compared to 4.6% in the previous year. His leadership helped stabilize the economy amid challenging conditions, although details about the transition remain forthcoming. Into our last story on AGM. Heineken has agreed to transfer control of its Bukavu brewery in Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo to Mauritian company Synergy Ventures Holdings Limited for €1, following loss of operational control earlier in 2025. The transfer, expected to complete by year-end, aims to protect jobs, maintain community services, and prevent misuse amid volatile security conditions linked to ongoing conflict involving Rwanda-backed M23 rebels. The region has experienced violent rebel advances and displacement of civilians, with international efforts underway to broker peace and attract investment. Heineken's Bukavu brewery employed about 1,000 people directly and indirectly before armed personnel took control. Synergy Ventures will assume full operational employee safety and tax responsibilities. Heineken retains a 3-year buyback option if viable conditions return. Despite this, Heineken's Bralima unit continues operations in other parts of the country unaffected by conflict. The move prioritizes humanitarian concerns and continuity amid regional instability. Those have been our economic news stories on Africa Good Morning. Let's have a look at the indicators before we come back to say goodbye. Thank you for staying with Africa Good Morning on Wednesday, the 20th of November 2025. These are some of the highlights from the show. Leading African nations in peace and stability for 2025 include Namibia, Botswana, the Gambia. UN chief warns of escalating terrorism threat in Sahel region. Eswatini receives $5.1 million from US to accept deportees amid legal challenge. Nestlé faces criticism over added sugar in baby cereals sold in Africa. Nicki Minaj backs Trump's claims of Christian persecution in Nigeria. Namibia's central bank governor to step down before term completion. And Heineken transfers brewery in conflict-affected eastern Congo to Mauritian firm. Arrie Hougaard took us through South Africa's updates, including the G20 summit, the debt issue in the country, the upcoming Springboks and Proteas games, and some Vineyard awards. DSTV 285, GoTV 25, oneup2.com, ntvafrica.my.na, and NTV Africa on YouTube are precisely where you can catch Africa. Good morning. We return tomorrow with more news, starting this time from Namibia, keeping in mind that the regional elections begin on the 26th of November. 25 November, we'll get into our pre-election show. 26 November, we'll be broadcasting throughout the day, making sure that you get the updates as the election transpires. And of course, on the 27th, as the results trickle in, we'll keep you informed. This has been Ashwin Bedi on Africa Good Morning. Swera Jaganaka.